So, we've all seen it happen, right? An organization, maybe especially a school, they're just struggling to cut through all the noise, trying to communicate important stuff, but maybe feeling a bit, I don't know, impersonal or just lost. Yeah, schools have like a million things on their plate. Communication, real effective communication, sometimes it just falls way down the list, unfortunately. Today, though, we're going to do a deep dive into a company called K12 Media. They actually specialize in helping school districts navigate this really tricky area. It's about more than just sending emails. It's about really connecting with their communities.
Yeah, and what's pretty cool about this particular deep dive is where we got our info.
Hmm.
We're actually looking at bits and pieces from K12 Media's own internal employee training.
Oh, interesting. So like a behind-the-scenes look.
Exactly. Gives us a rare glimpse into how they think, their philosophy, how they operate day to day. It's not just the glossy brochure version. So our mission here is to really unpack how K12 Media approaches school communication. Not just what they do, but the how. How does their specific way of thinking actually help schools build those genuine connections? I think there might be some real aha moments here about what makes communication work.
Okay, so let's start at the core. You mentioned their philosophy. They have this term organic communication. What what exactly is that? Is it just a buzzword?
Right, well, they define it pretty simply. Real people talking to real people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about sounding friendly. It's a really deliberate move away from that stiff kind of corporate top-down way of talking that you often see.
Okay, real people talking to real people. Why is that so critical specifically for schools?
Well, think about the usual way things are done. You might get a message starting, "I'm Dr. Catherine Cost, Superintendent of Ridgeway Public Schools." Very formal.
Right, standard practice.
Yeah. But K12 Media really pushes for something more like, "Hi, I'm Catherine from Ridgeway Schools." It seems small, but it's a huge shift.
Yeah, it feels different immediately, more human.
Exactly. It humanizes the whole thing. These leaders, they're real people, leading communities full of real people.
Yeah.
And we connect with people, right? Not just titles. That subtle change can start building trust in a way that stiff formal language sometimes just doesn't. It can even put up walls.
That's a really powerful point. And maybe if you're listening, you're thinking about how your own institution communicates. How might that simple change, from formal title to just a person, how might that change how people relate to you, how trust builds? It really does open things up. So, okay, that philosophy makes sense, connect like real humans. But schools are busy, right?
Yeah.
Overwhelmed. How does K-12 Media actually help them do this day to day? What kind of services are we talking about?
They really aim to cover the whole spectrum, basically taking communication off the school's already full plate. So, for instance, social media management. And this isn't just like scheduling a few posts. It's creating the content, engaging with comments, making sure it all fits the school's vibe, helps with enrollment, maybe even supports voter initiatives. Strategic. Then there's website management and compliance. Keeping things fresh, easy to find, SEO. But the big one there is ADA compliance, making sure the site is accessible.
Oh, yeah, those federal rules. 2026 deadline, right? That's huge.
Huge. And a massive headache for districts. So K12 Media handles the audits, the updates, all of it. Then you've got school marketing and enrollment strategies, using digital tools to boost student numbers. And for voter initiatives like bonds or levies, they have a really interesting approach. They stress that they educate, not persuade.
Educate, not persuade. Tell me more about that. Why is that distinction so important?
Well, it's kind of a long game strategy. They believe if you genuinely educate the community, give them the real information, they become partners. They feel respected, invested. It builds way more lasting trust than just trying to push them to vote yes on something. It's smarter and, frankly, more ethical.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, what else?
A massive part is content creation. This is where the organic part really comes alive. They do video production promos, superintendent messages, explainers for complex things like bonds, motion graphics, infographics too.
So visually engaging stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And copywriting newsletters, press releases, website text, plus professional school photography, getting those authentic shots. Then number 5 is school branding and reputation management, building a strong identity, keeping the message consistent everywhere, and helping schools handle tricky PR situations if they pop up. And finally, this is a really critical one today, PR and crisis communication consulting. Having experts ready to help with media, respond quickly in a crisis, draft statements, even coach leaders on how to talk to the community during, tough times, like weather closures, emergencies.
Wow, that's a really comprehensive list. It covers pretty much everything. It feels like they're really acting as an extension of the school's team.
That's exactly the idea. Whether a school has a full communications department or just like one person doing everything, K12 Media aims to fill the gaps, provide strategy, do the work, and make sure the message is clear, engaging, and actually lands.
So what's the maybe the overlooked connection there? How does weaving all those things together, the website, the social media, the crisis plan, build that trust in a way that maybe schools struggle with if they're tackling these things piece by piece?
Right. I think a key insight from their training is this idea of making it effortless for the school. Communication shouldn't feel like another overwhelming burden. Their job is to integrate it all, make it seamless.
Effortless for the school, right?
Yeah. And that organic communication thing, it's not just talk, it's baked into everything they write or produce. They really work hard to make sure school leaders sound like themselves, just clearer, maybe more impactful, no robotic corporate speak. And it's all underpinned by strategic planning. They don't just, drop off a video. They help districts figure out what message needs to get out, who needs to hear it, and how best to deliver it across all those channels, social, web, email, everything.
They mentioned something about crisis communication being a superpower. What's the secret sauce there?
Yeah, I think it comes down to speed, clarity, and transparency. When something unexpected happens, a snow day, a security issue, whatever people need information fast, they need it to be clear, and they need to feel like the school's being upfront. K12 Media helps leaders craft those messages quickly and calmly. That ability to be a clear, steady voice in a crisis, that builds massive trust.
Yeah, I can see that. And you mentioned they speak superintendent without the formality. I like that phrase. How do they actually do that? How do they help a superintendent, say, explain a complex budget issue or a bond proposal without sounding or overly technical, but still, authoritative? Is there pushback sometimes on losing the formality?
That's a great question. I think it often involves a lot of collaboration. It's not about dumbing things down, but finding that authentic voice. They work with leaders to make sure the message is clear, confident, and resonates like they would actually say it. Maybe through coaching, definitely through collaborative writing. It's about being impactful as themselves, not putting on some formal persona.
Right, authenticity again.
Exactly. And that ties into their social media work too. Making it fun sometimes, informative always, but always on brand and human. That kind of engagement really builds community support, which, yes, definitely helps when things like voter initiatives come up. And don't forget the website. They really hammer this point. It needs to be easy to use, a valuable resource, not just a place where flyers go to die. You know, finding info easily is basic respect for your community's time, and it builds trust.
So it all ties together.
It all ties together. The press releases, the email strategy, the social media, the website experience, the videos, the branding. It's a full ecosystem. They see themselves as partners, an extension of the team, making communication simple and effective so schools can focus on, well, educating kids.
Okay, when you think about building that really deep, lasting trust between, say, a school district and its community, what parts of this whole K-12 media approach really jump out at you as being the most powerful? There's so much there.
For me, I think it's that relentless focus on the human element, the organic communication, moving away from institutional speak to just people talking to people. And maybe the crisis communication piece too. Being that clear, calm voice during difficult times is just invaluable for trust. It shows leadership cares and is competent. Ultimately, yeah, their whole mission seems to be make school communication straightforward, make it effective, and use that to build trust, strengthen the school's identity, and really connect the community together. It's about relationships, not just broadcasting.
Right. Which brings us to a final thought for you listening. We've talked a lot about schools here, but where else could this organic communication approach really make a difference? Prioritizing real voices, ditching the corporate formality, focusing on being clear, quick, transparent. How might that change how other institutions, maybe government agencies, healthcare, nonprofits, even businesses, connect with the people they serve? Could that kind of shift actually redefine what trust looks like in sectors that often feel pretty formal and distant? Something to think about?
K-12 Media, always helping schools communicate with their communities.